Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those who are not familiar with my channel, I go by Cheap Compadre, and you're watching Cheap Compadre TV. On my channel, you learn about investing, saving, sometimes politics, and if we have occasional now and then, maybe story time. So, just a disclaimer, remember, I am not a financial advisor, so something that is to help you, guide you, but at the same time, make sure you seek a professional advisor to guide you through these times of bull and bear markets. So today I decided that I wanted to talk about my terrible experience credit card for the first time. Now, this was a little bit after high school, where I was introduced by my mom a credit card, and what she told me was that everyone needs to have a credit card in order to establish history. Credit history, that is. So, majority of all my life, I've been taught that in order to build a history, you need a credit card. But now, through living for some time now, dealing with credit and paying off credit, I realized that once you establish some form of history of being responsible, either from using just cash or using a credit card, that eventually you will be able to not depend on a credit card unless some crisis happened where you had no choice. But for the most part, you want to be able to use cash instead of credit. Now let me tell you my bad experience with credit, and this is why I think credit is a four-letter word. So my mom gave me a credit card, told me that I needed this to build credit. So not once has she sat down to me and told me that in order to build it, that you have to pay on it, pay more than the bare minimum. Okay, she just said, you know what, this is what you need in order to build credit, so here you go. So when I got this card, I had no inkling, no knowledge of how to build credit. So basically what I did was I used a credit card, and I was in college, mind you, to go on certain trips. This is the reason why, to this very day, I tell people on my channel to pay in cash if you're taking a trip, if you're using a rental. I know many people tell you, you can use a credit card and you can get points and you can get free trips. I know, but there's always a catch. You think they're just giving you free trips just to give it to you. There's a reason behind that. So this is the reason why I decide when I do go on trips that I pay cash. Now, mind you, that when you do things like this, it limits you from traveling as much, which is a good thing. I notice a lot of people on YouTube travel a lot, and that's part of their channel, to be a blogger and travel the world, which is fine. I mean, when I was in college, I traveled a lot too, especially using credit card, which I'm going to continue with my story in a minute. But by doing this, by traveling on credit, I find myself using credit more and always thinking to myself that I will pay off this credit amount within amount of time. So let's go back to my trip. So I decided to take a trip. finished college, I graduated, and decided, you know, I'm going to take a trip to New York. I'm going to use credit. So, took a trip, spent a few weeks, went to Broadway, the show The Lion King, went to where the 9/11, the towers, where the 9/11 towers were hit. I went down there. Also went to the Chinatown district where they sell knockoffs and stuff like that. Also went up to Harlem, and so as I'm doing this, you know, I'm using credit. I'm renting cars. I'm constantly paying the doorman. You know, they could just open up a door and they have their hand out, expect you to give them a tip, right? So you know, I'm trying to act like I'm living it up, and you know, I pay a majority of the debt off, except $300. But mind you, after the trip, I came back to San Francisco, and I ended up losing my job. So once I lost my job, I had this outstanding $300. On top of that, they gave me an increase in the amount of credit. So first it was like $10,000, and then it went up to $25,000. So mind you, I lost my job. I have this $300 debt, credit card debt, and I can't pay it because I'm not working. So I kind of blew it off. I said, you know what? It's only $300. But after a few months and a few years went by, that $300 became $25,000. So once I started working again and making a living, I started paying on that credit card, trying to pay it down. And two, I started watching Susie Orman, because at that time I felt like it was hopeless. I would never ever be able to pay off the credit. But luckily, I started watching Susie Orman through Oprah Winfrey. They did some special, and they were talking about credit and how you can negotiate. So I was paying on it, and then I said, you know what? Let me see if that works. I'm gonna try to negotiate. And sure enough, once I negotiated, I told them this is what I can pay. They agreed to it. I said you had to send me something in writing, make sure that once I give you this money, it's paid off. And then after that, the rest was history. After that, I decided, you know what, no more credit. I would do my best to avoid credit cards unless it's a true emergency. But before that emergency, I try to save as much money as I can, where I be able to use cash only instead of credit, because that is the whole purpose of having a rainy day fund, emergency fund, is to get you through the hump without using credit, so you won't end up back in debt. That's the whole purpose of these 6 months, 1 year, 2 years emergency funds. So I know this is coming from an average person who was able to negotiate and get himself out of debt. Now I know people who are in the real estate and use credit as a leverage, and also those people in the real estate are able to come up with strategies to help them save money. For example, they may say that in their home they have an office, so they know how to write that off as a write-off and save money that way in many other ways, which is fine. I mean, when it comes to credit, I think it's for someone who is able to have a clear understanding of how to use it. For me, I don't think it's a good idea for me, because using credit, when I do things, usually with credit or anything else, I usually get into a point where I'm constantly using it and not putting a assert control on spending. So I know my limitations. So basically, instead of putting myself in a predicament where I'm constantly gonna use the credit card, I just decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna not use credit at all and avoid it at all costs. Now I know nowadays we're going through this crisis where some people may not have cash, where they have a fund put away for them to get them through these days of crisis. But remember, on my channel, I'm all about saving, investing, learning how to maneuver through life's crisis and their politics, and putting people through stress and hardship. So what I always try to do is learn from history and try not to repeat it. So I try to put things in place where I have a little cushion that help me through those rainy days. So tell me, what is your experience? What is your bad experience when dealing with credit cards? Put it down at the bottom. Put a comment down answering that question. Also, thank you guys for continue supporting me. Share this with your family and friends. If you're new to my channel, become a subscriber. Also, make sure to hit that bell at the top for my latest content, and make sure to destroy that like button so other people can see my content as well. So until then, have a great day.